So welcome everyone to the Azure Arc Server Forum. Again, this is an opportunity where product group and Microsoft folks working on Azure Arc share updates in terms of what the latest and greatest is with Arc. There's demos, there's opportunities for feedback. This is really how you can engage with us and share any questions or queries you might also have for the product group. So we're really excited to share that with you today. And if you want to sign up, we do actually post on our blog recaps of every single Arc Server Forum and onto YouTube. We also post recordings of these Arc Server Forum videos as well. We have a newsletter where we try to send out some of these updates as well. So really making sure everyone stays informed about all the exciting developments happening from Product Group. Today, excited to have three speakers lined up. We've got Jeff, who's going to be sharing Arc server reporting capability in the new workbook put together. Jeff works with many of the top accounts that have deployed Azure Arc and has put together a lot of really useful collateral for ESUs and is a real Arc expert, especially with a lot of those at scale enterprise deployments. So excited to have Jeff share the workbook demo. Then we're going to have Eunice, another product manager on the Arc server team, and he's going to share one of the most exciting features that has been highly demanded. He's going to share more about VM apps, which is software distribution facilitated by Azure Arc, something available with Azure Compute Gallery today, and we're bringing that capability to Arc-enabled servers. And finally, believe it or not, it's actually time for ESUs again. We're going to have 2016 Windows Server reach end of support, end of life in January 2027. And with that, we want to build and get feedback on what went wrong and what could be better from our 2012 extended security update experience. So George, another product manager on the Arc team focused on our user experience, is going to guide a session there in terms of feedback and opportunities for enhancing that experience. So with that agenda, let's go ahead and kick things off and get started. One thing I did want to share, oops, and I'm not sure this is working. We did want to share our agent updates for our version, our latest agent version. It looks like that's not showing up here. So let me quickly share this window instead. I hope this is working. But very quickly, we did have an agent release 1.61. Again, with the auto agent upgrade, highly recommend you stay on the latest and greatest version of the Arc agent. There were a number of different bug fixes around some of the security baseline customization, some around the run command extension and extension operations. There are also some performance improvements in terms of OpenSSL, the GPG signature validation, etc. And there was added support for some new ARM64 distros, including Oracle 8, Oracle 10, and Debian 13. There's improvements with the auto agent upgrade capability as well, and some enhancements in terms of the MSI verification for the Windows install. And finally, there were a number of bug fixes around onboarding, some around Linux package numbers and installation failures. But again, you can see a lot of bug fixes and quality improvements that are continuously happening across the Arc front, really focused on making that agent experience as seamless and stable as possible for all of our awesome customers. So with that, I'm going to hand it over next to Jeff for the Arc workbook demo. So I'm not sure, Jeff, if you want to introduce yourself and take over screen share here.
Totally will do that. So my name is Jeff Piggott. I am a solution engineer. I've been with Microsoft coming up on almost 5 years. Love working with Arnav and the Arc team. Like you said, I've been working with some large customers with Arc for several years, and as it's been interesting because like everybody's using it for different things. It became really popular with the Windows Server 2012 ESUs. SQL Pago is becoming really popular. Other people wanted to use it for Intra-ID with SQL. So it's as my mind was kind of thinking about like customers might be using it for one thing or another, like how do we give that visibility to the customer to really like know what maybe they're missing out on. And so that's what kind of really drove my passion for what I'm going to show you today. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. I might go off camera just to make sure I'm just not like looking all over the place, but let me share my screen here. And what I'm going to cover is, let me go and throw this in the chat. This is a workbook I created. And I guess let's go ahead and just show you, like, if you haven't created a workbook before, let me just go and show you how to, create one very quickly. So if you go to the README, this shows, talks about, like, obviously what this is going to be doing. But if you go to the JSON file, the Arc Benefits JSON workbook has a bunch of JSON here. You're just going to do a Control A, Control C, and then go to Azure Monitor, and you go to Workbooks, and there's an option to say, I want to create a new workbook. You can go to the advanced editor here and just get rid of everything that's there and just do a paste and apply and done editing. And that's all there is to it to install this, what I'm going to show you. So as I kind of said, like, I wanted to see an overview of all these different Arc services that could be out there. A lot of these became free as of Ignite, a year or so ago with the software assurance benefits. And so that's what I'm really highlighting here is just like different services, like from Admin Center to Update Manager, which of these are possibly configured or not configured, and just kind of giving you an overall view of what Arc services might, be in use. But then even going down towards, like, if I wanted to pick out an Azure Update Manager and see, like, what 4 machines those actually were, we have the tabs across the top that just show all the details of all the different servers and show, like, which ones are configured and which ones aren't. I added in, like, this little drop down so you could actually export that to Excel just to get a bigger list of, if you had thousands of servers, you might want to sort that a different way. But just a nice, quick, easy to read, green, yellow type options to know what's configured or not. And then we kind of did the same thing for, like, the SQL benefits, and just kind of show, like, which ones might have the performance dashboard enabled or not, or best practice assessments, and some other things there. So that's all nice, but I guess from, like, a seller's point of view, I had to, like, think about how I could drive this a little bit more. So I wanted to, like, put some dollar to this. So, like, thinking about, like, Azure Update Manager, if you aren't using that today and you're patching everything manually, and, like, what are you paying somebody, monthly or to patch, hundreds of systems? How much is that really costing? And so I threw this little slider on here for enabling a cost analysis. And, these are all make up numbers of whatever you think you might want to input for somebody, paid by paid by the hour, or paid by the, how much a year you'd want to, flip this. You could do it a bunch of different ways. So let's say I'm paying somebody $40 an hour to patch servers. You can then come in and see, if I didn't have these servers patched with Azure Update Manager, then, that's now going to cost me an extra $160 a month. Obviously, if you put thousands of servers in here, then that number is going to go up a lot more. And so what I kind of did was, on each of the different tabs, I had, like, a note section, and just kind of, like, spun it of, like, here's, an example with 500 servers. If you're paying somebody $80 an hour for, like, a half an hour at a time, then, how much could you actually, save over time? So I did that with each of the different tabs, just kind of giving you like a heads up of what's going on, of how you could utilize the services a little bit more, what they do, and just kind of show off, if you need a selling point to your manager of, like, wow, we could be saving a lot of money if we started utilizing some of these services. The other thing I guess I'll call out and just give a nice thumbs up or whatever too is this whole thing was coded with vibe coding. And so I was kind of pushed from my management to say, use VS Code with GitHub Copilot and just come up with some great ideas here. And that's what I did. So I really started with a blank folder and just started talking to Copilot, and pretty much wrote this whole thing within a day, just talking to it. I know, I've done workbooks in the past, and it's pretty intense to get some of this right. But for example, I just the other day I said, what else could I add to this this workbook. What other benefits could I do? Maybe something around ESUs or SQL Paygo. And it starts giving me ideas of whatever else I could add here, talking about each different option. And then I realized that as I was showing you that little download button before, that the version that I was going to present today didn't have that on some of the slides. So I said, can you double check this, to make sure that that download option is everywhere? And because I saw it was missing, and it's like, yeah, you're right. I basically found that in several areas that was missing, and I found the issue, and it pretty much, went ahead and just started changing the code. I checked it, told it to check it back in and everything. And, it's an amazing tool. So I would challenge you to come up with some pretty amazing ideas, and then see how GitHub Copilot could help you build amazing dashboards like this. So feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. This iteration started actually as a static web page, and then I realized that that wasn't going to be the best way to get this deployed. And so that's how you'll see different iterations here on version 1 and version 2. That's how it kind of started looking. And then I realized, I said, Copilot, I want to make this into a dashboard. And it basically did the work and turned it into a pretty amazing dashboard that I think you'll like. So feel free to let me know if you have questions, but otherwise, I think that's it for me.
No, thank you so much, Jeff. This is amazing. And I love the story behind how you came about this, right? I love the application, kind of seeing the cost of ownership and the impact of Arc, because sometimes that can be really tough to tell. And I also love how you're using Azure Workbooks, which is definitely one of the maybe underused resources, but combining that together with GitHub Copilot and kind of vibe coding in order to develop this workbook, it's never been easier to develop those custom visualizations, but really appreciate you sharing. And for folks that are interested, where can you download this workbook or replicate this in your own environments?
There's a link in the chat window.
Awesome. Great. Well, looks like folks have that link, but we'll keep posting that as well, and make sure everyone's aware. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Sorry,
really
Arnav.
appreciate it.
Was that for me,
no.
Arnav? Yeah, I threw the link in the chat.
Okay.
So yeah, it should be there for sure.
Okay, amazing. Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff. So with that, we're going to switch gears to another exciting feature. Eunice, I know you're online, and excited to hand it over to you to talk about VM apps and software distribution capabilities on Azure Arc.
Thanks, Arnav. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here. All right. All right, cool. So, hey everyone, my name is Yunus Hussain. I'm a product manager on the Azure Arc platform team. And today I'll be going over modernizing software management using VM applications. We've also got Ved, Kale, and Tanmay Gore, who also work with VM applications. So before talking about VM applications, I want to ground us in sort of what the landscape looks like today. In on-premise environments, customers rely heavily on tools like SCCM and other similar systems to package, version, and deploy third-party software. Additionally, there are well-established practices for centralized application catalogs, controlled rollouts, and lifecycle management. On the other hand, in Azure, the story looks different but still mature. Customers deploy software to Azure VMs and VM scale sets using Azure VM applications, which is mainly driven through ARM templates, scripts, and automation pipelines. Now, the challenge appears when we look at Arc-enabled servers. Today, there is a clear gap. There's no first-class solution for deploying and managing software on Arc machines in the same structured, scalable way customers expect from on-prem and Azure environments. This gap forces customers to fall back to run command, custom scripts, or other fragmented tooling, which increases operational overhead, reduces consistency, and makes governance a bit more difficult. As mentioned in the previous slide, VM applications already exist today for Azure virtual machines and VM scale sets. But today, we're happy to announce that this feature is now being introduced to Arc, meaning that customers can manage software consistently across their hybrid environment. VM applications provide a managed end-to-end lifecycle for software packaging, versioning, deployment, and removal. Which enables faster, more modular, and more resilient deployments with regional replicas that reduce blast radius and improve reliability compared to one-off scripts. Applications also live in a private app gallery with role-based access control, allowing teams to safely publish and manage approved software. Customers are able to roll out updates predictably, including rapid zero-day patches and rollback if needed. VM applications also gives customers inventory visibility and governance at scale by integrating with Azure Policy and Azure Resource Graph. Ultimately, the takeaway here is the same resilient, scalable VM applications experience that is on Azure is now available on Arc-enabled servers, reducing fragmentation, improving security posture, and modernizing software management across hybrid environments. Now, going over some of the supported management methods, at scale, customers can deploy application using templates and automation. This is ideal for standard rollouts across large fleets where consistency, performance, and resilience matter most. For more targeted scenarios, customers can also do customized deployments using Portal, PowerShell, or CLI. You can deploy or update applications on a per-machine basis. This works well for one-off installs, testing, or operational fixes without having to build a full template. And finally, for governance and control, VM applications integrate with Azure Policy. This allows admins to audit or enforce which application should be present on machines, helping ensure compliance across the environment. Together, these management methods let customers scale when they need to, stay flexible when they want to, and enforce standards when they have to. Now I've got two quick demos for two scenarios. One, which is deploying a VM application on an Arc machine, and then the other one, which is removing a VM application from an Arc machine. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me share those demos right now. Apologies. Share. All right. And so this is the first demo for deploying. This is the first demo for deploying a VM application on an Arc machine.
If there's audio, we cannot hear.
Oh, thanks for letting me know. Let me go ahead and fix that. All right. That's interesting. Are you able to hear it now, or?
I don't think so.
No.
Is it possible
Maybe-
for you to narrate over it?
Narrate
Maybe
over?
you should-
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of narrating over what's happening here is, first, what we can see here is that we've got this is an Azure Compute Gallery, and there are 3 published VM applications currently. And so in this demo, we'll be focusing on the application Chrome, which we'll see here soon. And as you can see, there's the versions listed here, and there's currently only one version of Chrome deployed. So as we can see here, I'll be doing this through Azure CLI in the demo. And so the main thing here is using the add command, and we'll pass in a couple parameters. And I'm kind of talking through some of the parameters, which are application name, machine name, resource group, the package reference ID, and location. So once we pass these parameters, we run this. And so there's this big wall of like red text here. And this is just because the APIs are only available in our Canary region. So during preview, you won't be able to see this red text here. It shouldn't pop up. But now kind of going over how we can see the status of our deployment here, or the provisioning state. And so there are a couple of ways. So what I'll be going through here is the first way, which is when it pops up. Which is the application show command here. So, we just pass in the application name, the machine name, the resource group, and what it'll output is, a lot of amazing information, but we're also able to see the provisioning state there as creating. So we know that it's currently in the process of the application is being created. But there's also another way to go about this. So that's shows more so for like a specific application, but let's say we want to see all applications on our machine. So since my machine at this time didn't have any other application, was only deploying one application, the results were exactly the same. But over here, as you can see by the brackets, all available applications on the machine would pop up. And I fast forward just a little bit, but it only took a couple of minutes. And if we check this command again, we can see that the provisioning state has succeeded, which means that the application is now on the Arc-enabled machine. And I just go ahead and check, and it seems like Chrome is downloaded. I think someone has their hands up. Yep.
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to make sure you said it'll show all applications installed, not just the ones that VMF's installed by running that show command. Is that correct?
Correct. So using the application list command, if I just go back just a little bit, it'll show all applications on this machine, essentially. So on my machine over here, there was only Google Chrome that was being created. But if there were more on my machine, then it would show them here as well. So that's the deploy, and then kind of going over the other scenario, which is the remove. And so this is essentially going over, hey, like I no longer want an application on my Arc-enabled machine. What do I do? And so in this video, the first thing that I do is I kind of use that list again, and I just check on the applications on my machine, and again, only Chrome's on there, so I want to get rid of Chrome. So I kind of go through opening up Chrome and confirming in the video here in this next part. So we could see, hey, it's there, it's working as it's need to, but I no longer want it. What do I run? And so for the CLI, you'll run the delete command, which we'll see here soon. And we'll just pass in the application name, the machine name, and resource group. And then we'll go ahead and run it. But for this, we have to confirm that we want to perform this operation. So I say yes. And again, same deal as before with the red wall of text here. When it's in preview, you should not be seeing this. It's just because we're not in a preview just yet. So I go through explaining that a little bit in this demo, and then all we do now for the remainder of the demo here is I use lists to see, okay, what's the status of it? Well, the provisioning state should show deleting right now, and it does. So it's in the process of being deleted, and then just a couple minutes later, I fast forward, and we check here. The list specifically shows an empty, which means it's deleted. And when we confirm on my machine, Chrome is no longer there. So it is the application has been successfully removed. Let me go ahead and reshare the PowerPoint slides now. And so now that we've kind of went over the demos, that's generally it for today. But one thing that I did want to mention is that we are preparing for private previews starting from next week for VM applications. And so if there is interest, if you're interested in participating, there is a form which we'll link in the chat. It's also linked here, and we can definitely send it out, through email if you prefer as well. But please fill out this form, and we'll definitely, put you in and get you all set up. But that's all. Thank you so much, and open to any questions.
Will this work on Azure Arc? Sorry,
Yes.
sorry, Azure Local. I meant Azure Local.
As long as it's Arc enabled.
Okay, thank you.
Eunice, just to be clear on this, it'll work as long as Arc. So it'll work in hybrid cloud, it'll work on Azure Local, it'll work on Windows Server, and it'll work in multi-cloud on like AWS and Google, for example. Correct?
Correct. Yep. Any Arc enabled machine you're able to deploy VM applications on. So yes, that could be using the multi-cloud connector or hybrid environments, or excuse me, on-premise environments.
Great demo, Eunice. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, I think if there are no other questions, I can hand it over back to Arnaud.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eunice. Those were awesome demos, and I know folks are really excited about software distribution. I think you've shared the link for the sign-up form as well, but please sign up and register. I think this is going to be really, really exciting to test out, and a lot of really hard work went into bring this capability to Arc. There are some questions about pricing, etc., that have not been settled, but it is free through the public preview and our private preview as well. So feel free to start using that capability as well. Awesome. With that, I'm going to hand over to George. I know, George, if you're available to start screen share and take it away with the Windows Server 2016 ESU kind of customer feedback and user research experience feedback as well.
Right. Thank you very much, Arnav. Let me share my screen. Well, hello. My name is George Eninfol. I'm a product manager on Arc-enabled servers, and I work closely with Arnav and Eunice. So as Arnav mentioned at the beginning of the call, ESU 2016 is fast approaching. And what we're planning to do is essentially build a new experience that doesn't deviate from the previous experience. We essentially want to build on top of the 2012 experience, since a lot of you are already familiar with it. So my goal for this session is to gather as much feedback from you to help us improve the experience. So these are a few things to note, that the end of support is January 2027. And that seems like it's far away, but it's not. So essentially, the sooner you start your planning, the better. And many of you have a lot of workloads in production, and modernizing takes time. But I guess the message here is ESU is a bridge. It's not the long term. We know some of you are not able to just move to the recent Windows Server because of legacy applications and all that. But and then, like I mentioned before, 2027 is when the coverage is going to begin. We will have a period, because end of support for the current ESU 2012 is going to be around till October, and the new ESU experience. So we're essentially going to have a period where both experiences will exist. But essentially, the sooner you start your planning, the better. So I guess the questions you may have, or what you might be wondering, is what's new? What's going to change for 2016, or what's going to stay the same? So Arc is still going to be the primary delivery platform for ESU. One change is that in addition to the Windows Server 2012 experience where it was focused on Arc, Azure VMs would also have a similar experience, as well as Azure Local for ESU. And so with that, we want to build an experience that's very aligned so that you don't have to, to reduce the cognitive load, we want to give you something familiar. If you're going between 2012 on-prem versus Azure native, the experience is familiar. So we need to make it clear and predictable, especially for our scale situations. And the mental model is going to be the same. We want to make sure there are a few surprises. And so basically, thinking about it, when you think of ESU for Arc, it's not different from what you know. Most of you here have a lot of experience with it. And then the Azure native experience would be similar to the Arc experience. We want to essentially give you a consistent experience across platforms. So the main thing that I'm interested in here is to essentially find the pain points that a lot of you have gone through, whether reaching out to support people on the product team and all that. We want to make sure that the 2016 experience is much better. It's vastly improved. And so this is where I really need your help. I want to understand what are the pain points, or which part of the experiences gave you the most friction. Where did you have to rely on tribal knowledge? Places where you felt like information was missing that we can improve. And if there is any one thing we can improve with the current experience, what would you want that to be? And like I mentioned, since we're going to have, in addition to the ESU for Arc, 2016 for Arc, we're also going to have ESU 2016 for Azure. I guess the question that I have is, if you're managing, machines on-premise, machines in Azure and all that, where would you expect to see this experience? Would you expect a dedicated hub for ESU? Maybe that could include the ESU for SQL Server, or do you want to just see one for Arc, one for Azure VMs, or something else? And then finally, do you think AI would AI help improve this experience, or is that an overkill? Not necessarily. So these are some of the questions that I'm hoping to get your feedback on. If you have any other questions that are not included here, please include them. And the ways you can provide feedback are, you can do it directly in the chat. After the meeting, I'll go over and try to capture all of them so we can address it in product development. I've also included a link here that captures basically these things that I have, questions that I have here. And if you need to reach out to me directly too, you can do that. Here's my email. So this is what I have. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, George. And yeah, this is a great forum. And if anyone has any feedback top of mind you'd want to unmute and just share for 2012 ESU experience and capabilities you want to see, please throw that in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand and share, we'd love to get any engagement or high feedback now.
And Aaron, I'm going to put the link in the chat to the feedback form as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks so much, George. That's basically a wrap. We have one last thing I wanted to quickly share. I'm putting this in the screen share here, but we actually are doing some more customer research around AI scenarios around hybrid and on-prem environments. One of my colleagues, Megan, who's been here and presented, I think, a number of times, is actually going to be driving this customer research. So we'd love to get your feedback on that as well. So I will throw the link for that feedback form as well in the chat. So we'd love to engage with you if you have any feedback on new AI use cases you'd like to see with Arc, especially hybrid on-prem environments. With that, that's a wrap in terms of our planned programming. So I'm going to stop our recording at this point.